Well, Cleveland, I want to just thank you from the bottom of my heart because you gave me a lot of hope that you could beat the Boston Celtics this year and they wouldn't be back in the NBA Finals. But after this week, you went 0-4. You looked horrible, even fully healthy, and you showed me your biggest flaws. And you showed the NBA why you will not be able to beat the Boston Celtics. I have to make a video on it and detail your collapse. So thank you very much. I will be breaking down why the Cavs are collapsing, along with other big storylines from the week in this week's episode of In Case You Missed It, the weekly recap on this channel that drops every Monday at 3. A home loss to the Magic to snap a 16-game win streak where the Cavs were without their vital piece, Evan Mobley. So I didn't think much of that game, as the numbers with Mobley compared to without him are not crazy, but they are something to note. They would go on the road for a road trip, and the Cavs were fully healthy, however, for this trip. Defensively, the Cavs could not stop anything. Kawhi, 33, Zubac, 28 and 20, Harden, 22 points and 9 assists, Bogdanovich, 20 points and 7 assists. Absolutely dismantled the Cavaliers' defense. They were getting killed on the perimeter by the guard play and had no answers for the interior. Disaster defensive performance. Against the Kings, we saw a new problem. It wasn't no defensive disaster. This game was an absolute embarrassment for the offense. The Cavs were turning the ball over time after time against a team that was depleted and isn't great defensively to begin with, allowing for 123 points for the Kings. Sure, turnovers were not a huge story, but let's talk about the final game of the week. Kevin Durant dropped 42, 6, and 8, and Devin Booker had 17 points and 10 assists. They let a struggling Suns team have 6 players in double figures, and the Suns were without their starting and backup center, along with no Bradley Beal. The Suns can't defend either, yet they shut down the Cavs without having a center. Jared Allen was a non-factor, and Donovan Mitchell was a disaster. This cannot be a worse performance or game to conclude the disaster week that really just pointed out how the Cavs are crumbling right now. It has absolutely nothing to do with their offense, even though it didn't look all too great, as they have just threw the ball around all week, yet they still put up points. It all stems from the collapse of their defense. The Cavs have hung their hat on having effective defensive schemes that differ from the normal man-to-man defense, but right now teams are starting to figure out the zone looks, causing them to become ineffective. And with how much the man-to-man defense can be exposed with two bigs and slow feet being a common theme on the team, the Cavaliers' defense is going to crumble down the stretch and be the reason they fall to the Celtics or even earlier in the playoffs. They cannot match up well enough in man to beat a Boston now, and it will be exposed. Lineup shakeups are the only way to correct this, but they have played too well and have been too dominant to do that. I just cannot believe that the collapse is coming now of all times. It really is tragic. But now we know what will happen to this historically good Cavs team and why they are going to not make the NBA Finals, even though they're a great team. It's really sad to see, but can't play defense and you're throwing the ball around and your players aren't even showing up when they have all the advantages in the world. It's really just embarrassing. As simple as that. And it's why they're collapsing. Staying east, we have a young and hungry team that looks like they could actually make some noise in the playoffs. Yes, the Detroit Pistons are a good basketball team once again, and with this emergence, they have formed an identity that makes it seem like they can shock some people. The new identity is a gritty and physical one that their players naturally had, but their new head coach, JB Bickerstaff, enhanced within each of them. We see them headlining almost weekly with a new fight as they never back down. But the thing about it is that they truly believe they can compete with anyone in the league. As it stands right now, the Pistons have a superstar and scrappy players that are blessed to have some reliable shooting around them. The makings of this are special, especially considering how young the team is. Seeing how they turn up a switch in big games and play with a chip on their shoulder nightly, we have to talk about how the possibility of an upset is actually growing, as the upset probability of the Pistons against the Bucks and Knicks as is very high. This is a very real possibility, as both teams have had big-time hiccups all season, in large part stemming from their suspect defenses. Cade Cunningham is talented enough to expose this all playoff series, and with the supporting cast he has right now, I believe that at worst the Pistons take these teams to 6 games, even if they don't win the series, but I wouldn't bet against them in those two specific matchups, as this team is very serious. The Houston Rockets looked to be folding last month, but they just had a 9-game win streak to silence a lot of critics about this team. The brightest spot about this streak was that they were without Amen Thompson for most of it, and then he came back and the team stayed hot. Unfortunately, the streak was snapped against the Nuggets, but this Rockets team is not playing around right now. Do I believe they can win a playoff series? Ask me again once we know who they will play round one, because as it stands currently, they'd be playing the Timberwolves or Clippers, and I think they could beat the Wolves, but not so much the Clippers. Now, if Houston was playing Memphis round one, I'm taking the Rockets. All the playoff talk can be saved for next month. Bottom line is, the Houston Rockets are back on track as they get healthier, which is a scary sign for the NBA. No matter what happens in the West, though, I still believe OKC might just have a cakewalk to the finals matchup with the Celtics, as both teams are just way too good right now to bet against. I mean, both teams have been able to dominate regardless of how many players they are missing, and at full strength, they're matchup nightmares. Now that OKC has experience, they should be fine in the West, and the only team that really scares them, in my eyes, is the Lakers. But the Lakers do not have enough at the 5 to provide a true shot-blocking presence, nor someone who can keep Hart off the glass, which will be problematic in a series. With the Cavaliers and Nuggets both showing their glaring weaknesses as well, it is all but confirmed that OKC and Boston will meet in the finals, even though this has been the clear answer for a while. This week, the Indiana Pacers went 4-0, and they did it without Tyrese Halliburton for the most part. I want to continue to reiterate this. The Pacers are the third best team in the Eastern Conference. The Bucks and Knicks will not be serious enough to beat the top teams, but the Pacers do have the makings to do so. The Portland Trail Blazers stayed scorching hot again this week with a 4-0 week. If you want to know more about how I feel about this team, watch last week's recap at the end of this one. The Clippers are also very hot as they are finally getting healthy and are dominating. Also worth noting, Norman Powell has not played in a very long time, and adding him to this equation will only make the Clippers an even scarier team out west, especially with Kawhi Leonard getting healthy. Your Week 22 awards are as follows. MVP is self-explanatory as Luka Doncic earned it. The team of the week will be the Los Angeles Clippers, actually, and the worst team of the week could go to the Grizzlies, but it really is the Cleveland Cavaliers after an embarrassing 0-4 week after the longest win streak in franchise history. As always, my updated power rankings are on the screen. With no surprise, we do have a new number 1 and 2 team in the league. I hope you all enjoyed another episode of In Case You Missed It, the weekly recap on this channel that drops every Monday. If you want to watch last week's episode, click on the video on the upper left, while my perfect March Madness bracket is on the upper right. My bracket is horrible, I can't lie. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all stay safe. Have a good one. Bye.